All right, I thought I'd do a video here on the it's a pretty famous, well-known sighting. I think it's the Kenneth Arnold UFO sighting from 1947. Um, so let's get into that and see exactly what this is all about. Um, says here on On June 24th of 1947, private pilot Kenneth Arnold claimed that he saw a string of 9 shiny, unidentified flying objects flying past Mount Rainier at speeds that he estimated to be at least 1,200 miles per hour. This was the first post World War II sighting in the United States that garnered nationwide news coverage and is credited with being the first of the modern era of UFO sightings. Okay. Including numerous reported sightings over the next 2 to 3 weeks, Arnold's description of the objects also led to the press quickly coining the terms flying saucer and flying disc as popular descriptive terms for UFOs. So that's where those terms kind of came from. On June 24th, 1947, Arnold was flying from Chehalis, Washington to Yakima, Washington in a Collier A2 on a business trip. So a Collier A2 is like a small 2 to 3 seat utility aircraft. Okay. He made a brief detour after learning of a $5,000 award for the discovery of a U.S. Marine Corps C-46 transport airplane that had crashed near Mount Rainier. The skies were completely clear and there was a mild wind. Okay, so a few minutes before 3 o'clock, at about 9,200 feet in altitude and near Mineral, Washington, Arnold had given up his search and began heading eastward towards Yakima when he noticed a bright flashing light similar to sunlight reflecting from a mirror. Worried that he might be dangerously close to another aircraft, he noticed a bright flashing light similar to sunlight reflecting from a mirror. Okay. So he was worried that he was dangerously close to another aircraft. Arnold scanned the skies around him, but all he could detect was a DC-4 to his left and behind him about 15 miles away with the assistance of ground radar. About 30 seconds after seeing the first flash of light, Arnold saw a series of bright flashes in the distance off to his left, or north of Mount Rainier, which was then around 20 to 25 miles away. He thought the reflections might be sunlight on his airplane's windows, but a few quick tests, like rocking his airplane from side to side, removing his eyeglasses, later rolling down his side window, ruled this out. The reflections came from 9 flying objects. They flew in a long chain, and Arnold for a moment considered they might be a flock of geese, but quickly ruled this out for a number of reasons, including the altitude, the bright glint, and obviously very fast speed. He then thought they might be a new type of jet and started looking intently for a tail and was surprised that he couldn't find any. Well, there's a lot to this. Um, so we'll see what happens here. The objects quickly approached Mount Rainier and then passed in front of it, usually appearing darker in profile against the bright white snowfield covering the peak. But occasionally still giving off bright light flashes as they flipped around erratically. Arnold reported at times the objects appeared so thin and flat they were practically invisible. Wow. According to Jerome Clark, Arnold described them as a series of objects with convex shapes, though he later revealed that one of the objects differed from the other 8 by being crescent-shaped? Several years later, Arnold would state he likened their movement to saucers skipping on water without comparing their actual shapes to saucers. But initial quotes from him do indeed have him comparing the shape to a saucer, disc, pie pan, or half moon, or generally convex and thin. Man, what were these things? Using a I don't know how to pronounce that word, DZUS cowling fastener, as a gauge to compare the 9 objects to the distant DC-4, Arnold estimated their angular size as slightly smaller than the DC-4, about the width between the outer engines, which was about 60 feet. It was about 60 feet. Okay. In width. So that's pretty big. Arnold also said he realized that the objects would have to be quite large to see any details at that distance. Oh, yeah. And later, after comparing notes with a United Airlines crew that had a similar sighting 10 days later, ooh, interesting, placed the absolute size as larger than a DC-4 airliner, or greater than 100 feet in length. Army Air Force analysts would later estimate 140 to 280 feet based on analysis of human visual acuity and other sighting details, such as estimated distance. So they were fairly large then. Like, Arnold said the objects were grouped together, as Ted Blocher writes. See here. Let's see. In a diagonally stepped down echelon formation. So what's a echelon formation? What does that mean? Oh, okay. It's like in which like craft are like arranged diagonally. Okay. Got it. Stretched out over a distance that he later calculated to be 5 miles, though they were moving on a more or less level horizontal plane. Arnold said the objects weaved from side to side like the tail of a Chinese kite, as he later stated, darting through the valleys and around the smaller mountain peaks. They would occasionally flip or bank on their edges in unison as they turned or maneuvered, causing almost blindingly bright or mirror-like flashes of light. The encounter gave him an eerie feeling, but Arnold suspected he had seen test flights of a new U.S. military aircraft. Now, whoa, computer almost fell. How long did he see these things for? I forget if it said. As the objects passed Mount Rainier, Arnold turned his plane southward on a more or less parallel course. It was at this point that he opened his side window and began observing the objects unobstructed by any glass that might have produced reflections. According to Arnold, the objects did not disappear and continued to move very rapidly southward, continuously moving forward of his position. Curious about their speed, he began to time their rate of passage. He said they moved from Mount Rainier to Mount Adams, where they faded from view, a distance of around 50 miles, in 1 minute and 42 seconds, according to the clock on his instrument panel. Wow. When he later had time to do the calculation, the speed was over 1,700 miles per hour. So he's got this down pretty accurately. This was about 3 times faster than any manned aircraft in 1947. Okay. So, yeah. This is 1947. We didn't have anything like that. Nobody did. Nobody had anything like this in 1947. Not knowing exactly the distance where the objects faded from view, Arnold conservatively and arbitrarily rounded this down to 1,200 miles an hour, still faster than any known aircraft, which had yet to break the sound barrier. So, let's see. So there were 9 flying objects, and they flew in like a long chain. Jesus. That is really... And they're really fast. After landing in Yakima, Arnold described what he had seen to a number of pilot friends, who suggested that maybe he had seen guided missiles of a new airplane being secretly developed and by the United States Army. Arnold refueled his airplane and continued on his way to an air show in Pendleton, Oregon. He was first interviewed by reporters the next day, that's June 25th, when he went to the office of the East Oregonian in Pendleton. Any skepticism the reporters might have harbored evaporated when they interviewed Arnold at length. As historian Mike Dash records, Arnold had the makings of a reliable witness. He was a respected businessman, an experienced pilot, and seemed to be neither exaggerating what he had seen nor adding sensational details to his report. He also gave the impression of being a careful observer. These details impressed the newspapermen who interviewed him and lent credibility to his report. Okay. Speaking to a reporter for the Associated Press, Arnold told him, "This whole thing has gotten out of hand. I want to talk to the FBI or someone. Half the people look at me as a combination of Einstein, Flash Gordon, and Screwball." I wonder what my wife back in Idaho thinks. Okay. So... Let's see if it. Okay, so there's shows a picture here from Tulsa, Oklahoma. This is photographed. It's a photograph. I can't believe they actually have a photograph of not the Arnold objects, but Arnold like objects, and there was 8 of them in this photograph from Oklahoma, July 12th of 1947. They look like bright lights on the photograph. It's like a dark background with bright lights. Saucers over Tulsa, it says. I'll have to check that out more. So that was, yeah, a little bit after the Arnold sightings here. On July, let's see, 4th, 1947, the Oregon Journal in Portland, Oregon, reported receiving a letter from an L.G. Bernier of Richland, Washington. Bernier wrote that he saw. Oh, wait a minute. So he's about 110 miles east of Mount Adams and 140 southeast of Mount Rainier. He wrote that he saw 3 of the strange objects over Richland, flying almost edgewise toward Mount Rainier about 1/2 hour before Arnold. So he thinks he saw the same objects. Some of them. Just a half hour before Arnold did. Huh. Bernier thought that the 3 were part of a larger formation. He indicated they were traveling at high speed. I have seen a P-38 appear seemingly on one horizon and then gone to the opposite horizon in no time at all, but these discs certainly were traveling faster than any P-38. Maximum speed of a P-38 was about 440 miles an hour. That's pretty fast. No doubt Mr. Arnold saw them just a few minutes or seconds later, according to their speed. The previous day, Bernier had also spoken to his local newspaper. So, the reason I feel like this is so credible is because multiple people saw this. So it just gives more credibility to it. You know, like both of these people saw it, Arnold and Bernier. So Bernier, the previous day, Bernier had also spoken to his local newspaper, the Richland, Washington Villager, and was among the first witnesses to suggest extraterrestrial origins. I believe it may be a visitor from another planet, he says. So, about 60 miles northwest of Richland in Yakima, Washington, a woman named Ethel Wheelhouse likewise reported seeing several flying discs moving at fantastic speeds at around the same time as Arnold's sighting. So here's another one. Here's another witness. When military intelligence began investigating Arnold's sighting in early July, they found yet another witness from the area, a member of the Washington State Forest Service, who had been on fire watch at a tower in Diamond Gap, about 20 miles south of Yakima. And they reported seeing flashes. See? Flashes, just like Arnold saw at 3 p.m. on the 24th over Mount Rainier. So they're different days too. So these things have been flying around different on different days, right? Like, hold on. So Arnold saw his on the Arnold saw his on the 24th, but like um let's see. Um mm, yeah, there's different days for these. Um let's see here. Okay. Um on the 24th over Mount Rainier, or exactly the same. Okay. So they saw the flashes over Mount Rainier exactly the same time as Arnold's sighting. So that's what, four witnesses so far? That appeared to move in a straight line. Similarly, at 3 p.m., Sidney Gallagher in Washington State reported seeing 9 shiny discs flash by to the north. That's 5 witnesses. So this is a mass. This has turned into a mass sighting here. And now it's like super credible now. So and then I guess more came forward. Other Seattle area newspapers also reported other sightings of flashing, rapidly moving unknown objects on the same day, but not the same time. Okay, well, they would. I mean, they were traveling so fast. I wouldn't think they would all be seen at the same time, but not the same time as Arnold's sighting. Most of these sightings were over Seattle or west of Seattle in the town of Bremerton, either that morning or at night. So if they were traveling from morning to night, then they've been up, they've been, that's crazy. Been up in the air for a while. The primary, I wonder where they went. Too, like if they kept flying around in our skies, then like, were there sightings, other places too? The primary, let's see here. Well, it says most of these sightings, so there were others too from other areas. The primary corroborative sighting, however, occurred 10 days later. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So this occurred 10 days later. Wait a minute. July 4th. Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, so July 4th. So I lost my... Okay, here. When a United Airlines crew over Idaho en route to Seattle also spotted 5 to 9 disc-like objects that paced their plane for 10 to 15 minutes before suddenly disappearing. Wow. So these, it sounds like they're the same ones. Holy crap. So, man, there is a lot to this. So, I think we'll end it there and do this in a couple parts, like 2 or 3 parts, maybe. It's a good place to end it, I think. Okay, so that's what we'll do, and yeah, this will be like part 1 then. So let me know what your thoughts and comments on this, the Kenneth Arnold UFO sightings. really, really cool. It's not just him seeing this. This is like, multiple people seeing this. But really, really cool. Really interesting. Very credible. I guess it started the craze, the flying saucer craze, like this case in particular. So that's it's kind of cool. So I'll I'll keep on this and delve into it some more. We'll do like I said, we'll do like 2 or 3 parts to it. So, and I want to check out like the related stories around that too. Um, See if I can find something on the Tulsa, Oklahoma sightings too, which there's an actual photograph of it, that sighting, which is crazy. And you could see, maybe it's similar. It looks like it might have been at night when that was taken. I'm not sure that photograph, but we will check that out, and I'll be back with the later parts to this story soon. So thank you for watching, and yeah, leave your thoughts on below what you think these might have been. Right now, I'm definitely going with otherworldly in origin. So thank you for watching, and I'll be back with the other parts later.